Yep. Meeting, please come to order. Barbara, please call the roll.
We have Commissioners Berard, Fleming, Funderburk, and Levine present.
This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks. Mr. Acting General Manager, do you have any opening remarks?
No, I don't.
Very succinct, thank you. Comments from commissioners on agendized items and requests from commissioners relating to departmental operations.
I have something to say.
Commissioner Funderburk has something to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. I have just a couple of comments here, and they relate to something that the board received about a year and a half ago, and I've been working with staff on trying to develop, but to Acting General Manager Wright and DWP staff, I just want to thank everyone who has been involved in the work on sustainability and the equity end of things. Last year, during the board's deliberations on the solar incentive program, citizen advocates from the scope and lane groups presented disparities in the allocation of solar rebate funds. The number and size of rebates correlated with the location of recipients' homes, primarily in affluent areas in LA. The presence of this disparity brought to the board's attention the possibility that inequities might exist in other DWP services or functions because, however, of data gaps to show that the correlation was either a direct cause of the perceived inequity, incentives only benefiting the wealthy, or incidental market conditions requiring an upfront capital investment. The issue shifted to the need for additional data collection in order to make causal connections and rigorous empirical conclusions. Currently, the public attention concentrated on DWP's rate proposal and investment plan, which includes investments in infrastructure, power reliability, water conservation, renewable energy. The board's focus on equity issues is even more important. As part of the rate proposal, the City Council and Mayor approved corporate performance metrics and standards to improve operational efficiencies at DWP, and we, the board, approved that also just not too long ago, a few months ago. Equity was one of the corporate performance metrics presented to this board and to the City Council during the rate proposal proceedings. I believe it's imperative that DWP's activities, operations, and projects be administered with a conscious and conscientious dedication to ensuring and promoting equity throughout all of the communities that DWP serves. Future boards and management will be able to enact policy to deploy resources equitably based on sound data while fulfilling DWP's core missions of delivering clean and reliable water and power at the lowest possible cost. In order to evaluate the degree to which equity is being achieved in DWP's activities and operations, and to assess whether DWP's actions have equitable impacts, the first step is to collect pertinent data. The Equity Metrics Data Collection Initiative seeks to collect data and increase transparency relating to 4 categories relating to core DWP operations: residential, ratepayer, power and water reliability, procurement, employment, and project site location. By collecting this data, integrating it, and evaluating it holistically, the DWP and the board will be able to identify patterns that illuminate areas of success and areas that need improvement. By June, I expect that an overview of the Equity Metrics Data Collection Project will be presented to the board for its consideration. Heading that effort will be Nancy Sudley and Joe Romalo and John Chen, as well as Gwen Williams. The overview will include a roadmap of the implementation of the project, including the use of data that has already been collected for existing metrics and the data that needs to be collected to address new metrics. This project will complement other data collection efforts being undertaken by DWP's Corporate Performance Group, established by Marcy Edwards, and which Jeff Pertola and John Chen, I understand, are working furiously on right now. I will work closely with staff to ensure that Equity data collection will begin by midsummer, and the first reports will be produced, as promised, by February 2017 or earlier. Look forward to working with Gwen, Nancy, and John, and the rest of DWP's staff and council on this project. And thank you for the support from the board, and especially thank you, Mr. President, for doing something that means a lot to the ratepayers of LA. Very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderbroek, for your leadership on this extremely important issue. It's appreciated by all of us. Other comments from commissioners? Barbara, we have one public comment card.
Yes, the speaker is Linda Romney.
Good morning. I would like to discuss the fact that the Department of Water and Power has received 42 letters from myself regarding the fact that they have turned off the water and electric when it was in the tenant's name after the tenant had left. And I requested as landlord that the service be reinstated in the landlord's name as it had always been since 1979. And I was advised that since I did not give my social security number, however, they did have my driver's license number and had no problem accessing my account, they refused and said that I would have to leave a deposit. Since that time, on the account that's been turned off, I have a half an acre, and that half an acre of landscaping is dead and dying. This is a period of 6 months. I have had your customer service person laugh at me on the phone, and absolutely nothing has been done. I would like to submit just 1 month's worth of correspondence, and I'd like to know why my correspondence is not being answered. Something needs to be done. You have 10 lawsuits right now, and it is as if the Department of Water and Power is deliberately trying to get more. I was told that the DWP has the right to give my personal information out to the tenant, and that if I don't pay the tenant's bill, they will not turn the service on, and vice versa. And that's exactly what they have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who do I give my correspondence
And,
to?
Sylvia's going to come grab it.
okay, thank you. Comments from ratepayer advocate. Dr. Pickle.
Good morning. Dr. Pickle is down at the Aliso briefing at City Council, and he asked that I make you aware of our desire to speak on items 25, 26, and 27, the health insurance, 28, business retention, and then the customer service management presentation, which is 30. And hopefully he'll be here by then, but if not, I'll try and politely butt in at the right juncture.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of April 5th, at which Commissioners Levine, Funderburk, and Barad were present?
So moved.
Second, those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? They're approved. Do any commissioners wish to remove any items from the consent calendar which currently encompasses items 7 through 22? Commissioner Barad.
Number 19, please.
Any others? Is there a motion to approve items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, and 22?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those items are approved. We will turn to item 19. Commissioner Barad.
Yes. Will somebody be speaking for this?
Who will be presenting item 19 and responding to Commissioner Barad's questions or concerns?
I believe that's someone from real estate. Gary is back here, so yes.
Yes.
No, I thought that, because I had it.
Morning, Commissioners. Gary Wong, Joint System Services.
Ron Davis, Real Estate.
Guy Lammers, Real Estate.
Commissioner Broad, do you want a presentation, or do you just have some questions?
I have some questions. This is regarding the sale of 2 parcels in Encino, and that they're considered to be surplus. My first question is the appraised value of these 2 parcels. In our material, it says that that DWP appraised these parcels and found one to be $65,000 and the other $37,000. Was there an outside appraiser as well, or was this only DW? It doesn't say here.
DWP appraised it internally, and the property owner also supplied an appraisal of theirs.
The property owner
Supplied
okay.
supplied an
And
appraisal.
what were they? What was the outside appraisers?
The initial values for the...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
The initial values, the $65,000 one originally came in at $22,000. The $37,000 one came in at $15,750. We received those appraisals, reviewed them, did a second analysis, and came up with other numbers, actually $90,000 and $37,000, and we negotiated for the current prices.
Okay. Did you check the LA County tax assessor's records to see?
The item mentioned in the email is actually the house that fronts one of these parcels, and it recently, I'd say within the last 6 to 8 months, it did sell for that price. But it's a house.
So the house sold for over $3 million?
Yes.
Okay, and then what percentage or part of this, of the area is what you're considering surplus?
This lot would be, I don't know how large the lot is on the house, but this lot is it?
I think she's looking for the percentage of the Encino Reservoir.
Oh, percentage of the Encino Reservoir would be probably less than 1.
Percent.
This is 2,500 square feet that is at the back of their lot. Their lot, I'm just guessing, is probably somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 square
About
feet.
10,000.
10,000 square feet.
Approximately 10,000 square feet.
So this is very small compared to the larger house that's sold.
All right, well, so this was part of their lot? That, no?
No, it's part of our lot, the Encino
It's your lot.
Reservoir property. Yes, and they live, their homes abut our Encino Reservoir property. And
There seems to be a large disparity between what the house in front and what that property is worth and the parcel
well,
that we're talking about.
yes, it's a very large, very nice house. It's improved property, whereas this is a 2,500 square foot remnant of our.
It's 2,500 square feet of what?
Matra.
Yeah.
It's the Encino Reservoir is, I believe, around I want to say 240 or 250 acres. So I mean, the 2,500 square feet would be a percentage of the 250 acres, which is less than 1% of the total.
And it's just land. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there, and it abuts the house that sold for approximately $3 million.
So your feeling from the department is that it's been appraised to
Yes. Twice.
fairly.
Yes.
Fair.
Okay. It seems to me that the assessment just seems to be very low for that area and what the land is worth around there. The fact that a house on that right there sold for over $3 million, it just doesn't feel right to me.
In our analysis, we looked at other land sales in the area. The houses adjacent to this are highly improved luxury residences. So when you look at the neighborhood, it's a very improved, very luxury house. This is vacant land, and we've looked at other vacant land sales in the immediate area, personally.
Well, could these parcels that we're referring to, could they be subdivided and somebody build on them?
No.
Because why?
Well, this is part of a larger parcel that's all zoned PF, and it's 2,500 square feet is the remnant of our reservoir that we need, remnant of the land from our reservoir, and 2,500 square feet is not large enough to build, and there isn't enough there based on water operations to subdivide and sell as lots.
Could you define, you said it's zoned PF?
PF is a City of Los Angeles zoning for public facilities. It can be only zoned, the only people that can hold that zoning is the City of Los Angeles. So if we sell this, it'll be incumbent upon the owner to rezone and create a legal lot.
Will they create a legal lot unto itself, or they will absorb that into the existing lot? And can it ever be built on, and is it landlocked?
It can't be a legal lot onto itself. It only can be absorbed into the existing lot.
It's too small to build on.
It's too small to build on, and did I miss any of your other questions? I'm
And
sorry.
said, is it landlocked?
It is.
It's landlocked, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then there's the owner of the house, right? So they don't own this little piece, you do, right?
We do.
Could they, I guess that's following up on what David says, could they buy this parcel? And
That's what this is. They are buying it from us.
they're buying it from you. The owner
Yes.
is buying it
Yeah.
The adjacent
from you.
homeowners are buying these
And you're
parcels
giving
from us.
them 65,000 and 37,000?
No, they're paying us.
They're paying you for those, okay.
Yes.
They don't want it.
They do want it. Yes, they want it. They have requested if we will sell the property to them. Those parcels, those
Okay.
two small parcels.
Okay.
Claire? I had one question, unless you're...
No, I'm finished.
What is the qualifying condition on the property?
You mean the Q zoning?
That's what Q means, doesn't it?
The qualifying largely right now is the PF zone and the limitation for open space. So if this transaction moves forward and is held by a private property owner, it'll have to go through some sort of a zone change or zone rezoning issue.
Can you explain how that impacts the value, or upwards or downwards?
When this is appraised, because of the PF zoning, the public facilities zoning, and the code, it restricts to the City of Los Angeles. So we have to look at when we appraise it, zoning what it will likely go to. So it's a process step of, it has limited impact because we're looking at it as what it can be held as in a transaction.
Is there a deadline on this transaction?
Not that I know.
I would possibly like to get a little more, I'm just a little concerned about what we received at the last minute, but if there's not I'd just like to get a better explanation in the record before we approve it.
I agree.
Possible.
Commissioner?
And just defer it to the next meeting.
President Levine,
Yes.
if I could add a little bit of background to this. This is our Encino Reservoir property, and it's two properties that are abut the northern portion of our entranceway. It is landlocked, and so it's off of the main entrance street. So you have a front house, and then you have a neighbor in the back. So it's the two lots that are on a strip that are abutting our property. So these two are landlocked. They don't have access to the street. Because of the contours and shapes of the acreage there, their property, the property in question, doesn't come into play until once it's off of the street area. So there's really no as they put it, can't make it a lot for development on it. So it's strips of land there where we will allow them to put some sound barriers in there, and we've allowed them to that as part of a mitigation there for the construction of the Encino Reservoir chlorine station and microfiltration plant that were there, and also the pump house there. So all we're doing then at this point is then allowing them and letting them purchase the land that has of no use to us at this point for any development.
I mean, I'm normally inclined to defer to the expertise of the real estate department. You guys do a phenomenal job in managing the portfolio of properties that we have and acquisitions as well. I just would like to possibly consider deferring this unless there's a time deadline on it.
Is there a time issue on this? Is there any reason that it would compromise
No time
the
issue. transaction
to defer it? And if commissioners have additional inquiries, we could deal with it at a subsequent meeting.
Well, we could defer this.
Thank you.
So do you make a motion to defer, Commissioner?
Yeah, move to defer item number 19.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of voting to defer, say aye.
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 It's deferred. Thank you. Okay, we move to the regular agenda, and we begin with item 23, agreement numbers 47366A, 47366A6, and a variety of other numbers that I won't read out, for professional and technical engineering and architectural design services with Arcadis US Inc., Black & Veatch Corporation, CDM Smith Inc., MWH Americas Inc., Parsons Environment and Infrastructure Group Inc., and Tetra Tech Inc., respectively.
We have Ms. Susan Rogani, Director of Water Engineering Technical Services, to make the presentation.
And next to me, I have Joe Resong. He's our contract administrator for these contracts. So these agreements will support the $5 billion of capital work for the water system over the next 5 years. And water system has employed these type of as-needing engineering contracts for a number of years, and it's helped giving us the flexibility to request a variety of design services and to best deliver the projects in our capital program instead of having to solicit a contract for an entire project. So that's one of the reasons why we go with these types of contracts. We anticipate 2/3 of these contracts will be used for specialized expertise, and the remainder will be used to supplement design staff in delivering the projects. Now, the selection of these consultants were done competitively. We had 300 downloads of the solicitations, 156 primes, and 144 subcontractors. As a result, we received 10 proposals, and that resulted in these 6 agreements. All these consultants are similar in qualifications and experience, and we wanted to make sure that we had a good pool to draw from given the amount of work that we're expecting the consultants to do. Also, the task solicitations, when we ask for the work to be done, are done competitively. So we wanted to make sure that we got a good number of proposals, a response to our proposals when we're asking for the work. Now, the work that we anticipate to happen falls under four major categories. Actually, we have our infrastructure goals. That would be support for things like a new trunk line district yard, which is support for the trunk line infrastructure. We have asset management support, of course, design of our pump stations, regulator stations. Regulatory compliance is another aspect which we anticipate using these consultants, such as design of floating covers. Local water supply, we have support for our recycled water projects and agreement negotiations, and support of technology innovations such as leak detection and pipe rehabilitation. Some of the specialty work that we anticipate this contract assisting us with are electric arc flash, which is a safety hazard which we need to comply with. There's a design of a water quality lab, which is a specialty in itself, and traffic control plans. These contracts will be managed using a task management process. I'd like to explain that. Basically, we'll solicit these tasks to the six vendors. We'll evaluate the proposals, which is done by the task manager and contract administrator. And these tasks are then awarded based on the adequacy of their responses and the cost. Now, each task manager will be responsible for authorizing and approving the work in each task, and the contract administrator will be responsible for overseeing the overall budget for these contracts. Now, the water system has a contract administration group that will administer this contract, and provides training to the task manager to assist them in writing, reviewing the task proposals, and reviewing and approving deliverables and the billing. So we provide that. So if a task manager is new, they will have that training. Now, as an example, this contract administration group has managed $90 million of geotechnical work since 2008. An audit was completed by our internal audit group for the billings of these agreements. We passed with flying colors, and we had no findings, which is great for an audit. How do you define the value that you get for such contracts? We define it as far as the successful completion of our projects and achievement of our mandatory and critical goals. For instance, under our previous as-needed contract, we're able to complete the LAUV plant. We completed the floating covers for Eagle Rock and Elysian, and relining of Solana Reservoir, among other projects. Those were successfully done. Some of the other projects that we anticipate being done under this contract is Upper Stone Canyon Reservoir Water Quality Improvement Projects, which is floating cover, and I mentioned, I think, the design of the water quality lab. Also, there is a knowledge transfer component in these contracts. For instance, we have a Green Verdugo floating cover that is now going to be designed in-house by staff. Also, we have tank design, which we had the consultant mentor us, and we anticipate more designs like this coming in the future. Also, to address price reasonableness, as part of the selection criteria was the price. We've done a price analysis on the fee schedules of these consultants and looked at the 7 labor categories. We found them to be, on average, very close to one another. We also compared the prices in this contract with the previous contract, as we took into account the annual CIP percentage changes and such. The prices from this past contracts that have just expired to this one are very close. So we think we're getting good value for these contracts.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Commissioner Barad.
I have just a quick question. How do you define the task managers? Or is that the point person for each of these?
So for instance, if there's somebody that comes from our water recycling group, for instance, and says they need some assistance with a water or a recycled water project, so that person who has the most often the most familiarity with the work that is needed will become the task manager, and basically would write out the proposal in terms of what type of work that they are looking for and the type of deliverables. And they would be assisted by our contract administration staff in terms of being able to write a task proposal, and then also in reviewing the proposals once we get them back.
So is there someone, at the top who's the point person for all of this that that the task managers report to?
Well, depending on who that could be. For instance, for our past as-needed contract, I do sign off when a task is authorized, and also the person on the other side, for instance, the recycled water folks, their manager also signs off on the task that it's being requested. So there's visibility at both sides for both my organization, which is supplying the consultant resources, and plus it could be another organization that's asking for those particular resources. So the managers on either side have that visibility in terms of the use of the contract.
So these projects are highly monitored.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, other comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We go to item 24, contract number 689A through F for heavy construction equipment on a fully maintained as-needed bare rental basis with RJ Lalonde, Inc., ISCO Machinery, Quinn Company, RDO Equipment Company, United Rental Northwest, Inc., and Ahern Rentals, Inc.
Michael Sullivan, Fleet Services.
John Smith, Fleet Services.
So do you have any questions, concerns on this contract?
Any questions? You want to give us a quick summary of what you're asking for?
Well, this contract is for the rental of heavy construction. I'm not sure if you guys got a copy of the equipment itself, but it's really very expensive equipment. And it's grouped up in several different groupings to allow different type of vendors to bid on this stuff and give a better competitive pool. We do our best forecasting because basically it's on an as-needed basis. We have funding in there for restoration work if there's time of disaster. So we have forecasting for that. We have forecasting for our known capital jobs and for our operation and maintenance. The other thing that's specialized about this too is that we've done a lot, John and I have done a lot of outreach with folks to get more competitive people in here, and we've been able to lower the incentive of the minimum commitment. So therefore, we're bringing in some equipment that we've used a little bit in the past. We think we may use it more, but we're not certain what the usage is, so we have a minimum commitment on it. That's why if you look at it, the minimum commitment on this thing is only for $544,000, even though it has a large fund. But again, that's as needed and as capital projects go.
Good. Questions? Comments? Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll take that as a motion in a second. Those in favor? Aye. It's approved. Thank you very much. Item 25, amendment to Department of Water and Power sponsored health plans resolution effective July 1st, 2016.
Good morning. Shanna Pasquale, Human Resources Division.
Good morning, Laura Logach, Employee Health and Benefits.
Items 25, 26, and 27 are all interconnected, so if it's okay with you, we can go
feel
through
free
all
to
three.
present all three.
Okay. So item 25 is the annual resolution, the board's resolution regarding the health and dental plans. It sets forth the open enrollment period for our employees and our retirees. It updates the premium subsidies to reflect the changes in the health and dental contracts. It sets the payroll deductions for the contracts, updates the formulas to calculate subsidy levels for our retirees, surviving spouses, and for the family death benefit recipients. Item 26 is Local 18's health and welfare plan, where the department has, since 1996, agreed to subsidize a separate health and dental for their members. And item 27 is the renewal contracts for the department's health and dental plans, which includes United Healthcare, Health Plan of Nevada, Kaiser, Delta Dental, and United Concordia. So we are asking today for the board to approve all three items. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
I understand that the ratepayer advocate has some input on this they'd like to provide.
Yeah, I have some brief comments if there are no further questions from the board.
Well, I was going to ask you to go ahead first.
Okay.
And then,
Well, the office is recommending that all three of these be approved, but we know how much the acting general manager likes foreshadowing. So we wanted to try and give the board a look forward at how these issues are going to be coming before you in the next couple of months. I'll be brief about it, though.
Yeah, can you speak more into the
Sure.
into the mic? Thanks.
Right up under my mouth. How's that? The total of the three items is $308 million for active and retiree health cares. And we thought it would be a good time to talk about the fiduciary relationship the board has with the management in managing the costs that were forecast in the rate authorization, because that's so recent. And we undertook to look at whether this was under or over for active and retiree health care, and found that very difficult to do, frankly. We can see that active is less and retired is more than was built into the rates. But the overall idea of a fiduciary relationship is to give management the flexibility within the total $1.8 billion of labor costs to manage on a year-to-year basis. So what we've asked the financial services team to do is, when you get your budget, to really kind of, for each division, show the wages and the healthcare and the retirement, and it'll put all of those into distinct elements you can monitor more easily. If you recall, when we asked for authorization of the rates, we said we'd be back to you June 1 with some labor metrics. So that's the general idea, is to try and look at the total labor costs and keep ourselves kind of in track with the rate authorization. When things get too far off, even if it's one item, then it's hard to catch up, or if all the items start to drift up, then you can't really do anything but cut your replacement of aging infrastructure, which we don't want to do, obviously. And so just keeping an eye on the total is kind of the goal we have in mind. In the long term, one of the things you may not be aware of is that there's a 2% productivity built into the base rates at the end of the rate period. So in the long term, what we'd like to do is try and enable the employees to seek out and find those productivity opportunities, and then there may be an opportunity for them to participate in the productivity that we can jointly manage and measure and monitor with the new system. And that's why it's so important for the benchmarking to proceed with the labor in place. So it's a long way of saying that we approve this item. We recommend you approve the item, but there'll be more discussion about labor metrics to reflect this.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Commissioners have questions or comments on this item, on these three items? Are we ready for a motion on item 25?
I'm sorry. I do have.
Oh, Commissioner Barat.
I believe it's, let me see, on 26. Just generally, how was this amendment drafted with IBEW? Like what format was used? Or what was this during labor negotiations? Is it only once a year when you discuss the health and welfare plan? How does this work with the union and DWP?
Okay, so
You're looking at me, but I think...
I'm looking at you, but I can look this up.
Okay.
So back in 1996, the department, the board, and IBEW entered into an agreement to allow IBEW to have their own separate medical and dental plans, for which the department agreed to reimburse them based on a set of criteria. Okay, and the criteria has continued on up until this date, which is we subsidize IBEW's health and welfare plan based on the Kaiser family rate on the medical side and the Delta family rate on the dental side.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Kaiser family rate.
Kaiser, okay.
Correct. Okay. So any of their employees who enroll into their plans, the department verifies the plan for which the employees are enrolled in, and then we reimburse them up to the Kaiser family rate and the Delta family rate. I think there's been a misnomer through the years that anyone who's enrolled in any of Local 18's plans gets the maximum subsidy. That's not the case. So if we have an individual who is enrolled in a Blue Cross plan in Local 18 and they're a single employee, we will reimburse based on that rate, not on the Kaiser family rate automatically. If they have employees who are enrolled in a family plan in Blue Cross, then we'll do the max subsidy, which is the Kaiser family rate.
All right, so since 1996 or 1997, then how often then do you meet and do you make changes or is this the same basic format and plan?
It's the basic format and plan. Every year they give us their information as it relates to what their rates are going to be for their health and dental carriers. And then we come to the board and ask the board to go ahead and approve as part of the agreement their plan going forward each year.
Well, I thought that there were some changes made in the last labor negotiations that included health and welfare plans.
No. In the last labor negotiations, what ended up happening was they agreed to the Tier 2 and the retirement. There was no concessions or changes whatsoever as it relates to the health and dental benefits.
Even as it applied to dependents?
Even as it applies to dependents. The only thing that they agreed as part of Tier 2 is Tier 2 retirees are going to have a different health benefit when they retire than people who are enrolled in Tier 1.
And their dependents?
Correct.
Okay. Do you think, I guess now I'm going to look your way. Is this reasonable to you that we're operating under the same guidelines since 1997 in setting these parameters?
Yes and no. I mean, every time we do a MOU negotiation, people on both sides of the table figure out what it is that they wish to exchange. And that is part of the MOU process. And when it's come up with an answer and it's been accepted by the council and approved, then that determines that it was reasonable because it was accepted as fair trade for other concessions. And there were no COLAs for 3 years. And so a lot of horse trading goes on every time you do an MOU. And so what we seek to do in our office is try and set the table. What are the parameters and the framework of the things that people should be thinking about for the next round to negotiate?
So what you're saying is that your office is okay with the horse trading that went on in this area?
We were in support on the record of the last MOU on 2 of 3 bases. We said it was a good deal. The area we thought needed additional work was the work rules, and that has led to the benchmarking process that is still, 1 out of 3 phases have been completed. So I think that we have a game plan for continuing to focus on these issues, but one of the things our labor analysis found was that a lot of value is outside of this particular topic. In our view, the overtime and the wages is really where the focus should be, that the health care and the pension are really close to industry median for private or public utilities. So we tried to provide information in the context of that rate review that would help guide people going forward for the next round of negotiations.
So that's helpful, that we're not overly...
right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, the current contract with Local 18 is good through September 30th.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. The current contract with IBW is good through September 30th of 2017. So the soonest that we are going to be able to have any kind of meaningful discussions and negotiations regarding any kind of health care concessions going forward will be for plan year 2018-19.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with then. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on any of these 3 items? Is there a motion to approve item 25?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. 26, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. 27, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
They're all approved.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Thanks. Okay, we need to skip item 8 until after our closed session because, yes.
There's not a closed session item on that, Commissioner.
What?
That is, we can take it at this time.
Okay, it's fine with me. Barbara, what was your concern?
No, I just thought they had questions last week, and that they, said that they might want to discuss them in closed session.
Do members have questions on this that need to be discussed in a closed session?
I had a briefing last week, and my questions were responded to.
Okay, fine. Good. Thank you.
I have a question, but not for closed session.
Okay, good. So item 28, capital projects business retention policy to alleviate inconvenience to businesses in construction areas pilot program. Redux. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nelson Mejia, Water Executive Office. We were here a couple of weeks ago, and the program we presented to you then has slightly changed. So our request includes some modifications that are the result of conversations we had in the last couple of weeks with the RPA's office. The RPA, I don't mean to speak for you, but they conducted their benchmark, and they pretty much arrived to the same conclusion that we had, as far as that there are not water utilities anywhere in the country doing anything similar to what we're proposing. My understanding is that no power utilities either, and the only agencies that are doing anything to help small businesses with inconveniences due to construction are agencies in the transportation industry. Because of suggestions from the RPA, and they want to.
I'm sorry. Can you go back? I don't know what you said. The only ones that are, and I lost all the rest.
Transportation agencies are the only ones who are doing something similar to this. RPA suggested that because they don't have a baseline, they don't have anything to compare against, it would be a good idea to try this program on a pilot basis first. Gather some information, gather some data, and come back at some point in the near future and report to the board and determine at that time if we want to make this a full-blown program. So what you have in front of you now is a request to approve a pilot program that specifically includes two projects that are currently under construction. One is RSC units 5 and 6, and Foothill trunk line.
And the pilot program, financial assistance would be limited to $18,000 to eligible small businesses? And how was that figure arrived at?
That's one of the questions we haven't actually been able to answer because, again, we have nothing to compare against, and we're allocating 1% of our construction budget for this program, and hopefully in the next few months we'll be able to determine whether the $18,000 per business per year is sufficient. If it's not, again, when we come back to the board, we may ask to increase that dollar amount.
Well, so I'm not clear. The $18,000 is is where you are now.
Correct.
But when you say it's a pilot program and you'll be determining whether the $18,000 is sufficient, does that leave open the possibility that you'll come back in the course of this pilot program and request or revise the maximum amount to a higher amount?
That is the plan.
I mean, very candidly, my concern the last time, and my concern this time, the last time I think the number was 15,000. So that's a 20% improvement. But I'm just concerned that that's not adequate for the small business, the impact that our projects will have on these small businesses. And if it is a pilot program, I wonder if there's a reason that it needs to be limited to $18,000.
Metro has a maximum dollar amount of $50,000.
Right, and when you look at this versus that,
and
raises questions about the adequacy.
Well, let me just address.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Keisha Washington, Director of Economic Development. One of the differences between our project and Metro's project, there are a couple of differences. One is the length of time that Metro's been camped out there, but also, like Metro, but probably even more so than Metro, we plan on offering additional services, including utility-related services. I do understand the concerns about the dollar amount, and of course we'll take direction on that, but I want to be very clear. We've got a couple of different buckets we're offering, and it's not just that financial assistance.
What would be the potential financial value of the utility assistance to a business?
Well, we're looking at the commercial direct install program. We're looking at the water conservation measures. We're also looking at, is there an opportunity, for example, for the EV charger program, whether or not solar makes sense in some of these areas. I can't quantify it because we're going to have to look at each customer to see whether or not they qualify for those programs.
Commissioner Barad?
I wonder if you can define what you mean by temporary inconvenience.
Temporary are any impacts that are caused, while we're parked in front of a business, and our stay in that location exceeds 60 days.
60 days?
60 days. So anything under that, a business would not qualify for this program. So it's specifically dedicated to our trunk line jobs, which are long-term jobs. It take up to a few years.
You don't specify that here. You just say temporary, and without giving. Is it in somewhere else?
In the resolution.
And it's also in the guidelines, the attachment.
Did I miss that? 90 days. Here it says under public policy details, expected to last at least 90 days.
That's for the length of the project itself. So we want projects that are going to be in place for at least 3 months. And then out of that 90 days, at least 60 days where a business is being temporarily inconvenienced or impacted.
Okay. Well, I didn't see that here. But will you have a department that is going to review each of these, claim is the right word, claims?
Applications for assistance.
Applications, yeah.
Yes, if I may. We have several offices participating in this program, and we want to make sure that we provide the right checks and balances for this. So our plan is to have Keisha's office be the first point of contact for the businesses. She will take the applications, work with the businesses to ensure that the application is complete, that they provide all the supporting documentation to justify what they're asking reimbursement for. Once the application is deemed complete, will be forwarded to the project manager, who in turn will make sure to process payment. The project manager knows how much money is allocated for that particular job based on that 1% of his construction budget.
Well, since this is a pilot program, and I'm happy to see that, I think that there should be some reporting back to us as to how it's going and whether the amounts that you're mentioning are adequate, whether the timing, the definition of temporary is the right definition, and so on. So I would like to make an addition that your department reports back to this board. I'm thinking either every 3 or 4 months.
I would like to have in the next 3 months a monthly report. I did not have, I was assured by Marty Adams that he would be personally watching that, and I'm inclined to support this based on that representation by Marty, but I have no idea about a lot of things in terms of the scope, and I don't think that the department has any responses on that as well, and I would like to make sure that this is watched and brought before the board, at least have us give us the opportunity to have a report every month for the next 3 or 4 months.
We're starting in 90 days so that they have a chance to
Yeah,
get off
90
the ground.
Starting in 3
Yeah,
months.
I assume because does this need to be approved by other, does this require council approval? or-
No, it does not.
No.
So it gets immediately implemented, and I assume we have a plan for
Yes.
implementation?
Yes, we do.
Why would you assume that? Never mind.
Okay, so then then after the 90 days, then to report back quarterly? Does that seem reasonable?
Just to clarify, reporting, you mean you want us to come to the board and report to you, or you want to receive a document?
I think a document, and then we'll decide whether you need to come up here. But a written report starting in 90 days, every 30 days, for, say, the first year.
Sounds fine.
Is that acceptable?
Every, what did
30 days.
Every 30 days, every month?
Starting in 90
Just the
days,
reports.
and then
Oh,
a monthly
yes.
report every
Okay.
month.
Yeah,
So let's,
so that's in addition to this.
that'll be a sort of a
Before
friendly,
Commissioner Fleming.
yeah.
Can you tell me, so this is 1.5 you're asking for. What percentage of that 1.5 are these $18,000 set-asides? And how much is this costing us per $18,000 to give away?
I'm not sure I understand your
Sure,
question.
so the total request right now is for 1.5? Right, you're requesting funding in the amount of 1.5 million?
Actually, we're not asking for any funding for this program.
No, okay, because the thing in front of me says the CPBRP will initially be funded in the amount of $1.5 million.
Yeah, I think that may have been an older version.
Might have received an older version of
Right,
report.
Good,
Oh, that's the last one,
good.
sorry. Just left.
yeah.
And just one more question then, also about the, but what does this, what will this program cost the department?
We don't anticipate any additional costs. The funds are already budgeted. So, for example, I'll let Nelson speak to what's already in the water system construction budget.
But no additional, no additional staffing or anything? To process these, to evaluate these?
As far as the water system is concerned, no additional staffing. I'm not sure about your office.
So this would be like pure cash out the door? There's no additional cost to the department to
Well,
process
economic
it?
development is actually in the process of bringing on additional staff for this and a couple of the other programs. So it's already been planned.
And you said that no other utility does this?
Correct.
So where did we suddenly get like a monopoly on wisdom, right? Why is it that no one else is doing this?
I think in part, well, a couple of things. One, we have a lot of capital work that's going on. Two, I think we also benefit from the fact that there are folks who've been in and out of the industries. I'll be frank with you. I've come from the transportation industry. I've watched what was done. I watched the build out at Metro. The other thing, and coming in before we even broach this with water system, is hearing some of the issues brought to me by small businesses, their concerns about they felt like they were being impacted as a result of the work that we were doing. And then it helped or it didn't help when there were all of the press release around what Metro was doing on Crenshaw Project. And the hue and cry came out, why aren't we doing something similar? You're doing similar work. Where's your program?
Right, but still, why aren't there other utilities somewhere in the country against which you could benchmark this?
Can't speak to that. I know what the research that I've done. I know the research that the RPA has done. I can't tell you why they haven't.
So
If I could interject for just one second. You unfortunately missed the last hearing at which they demonstrated the need by showing some pretty graphic pictures of the way that these projects severely disrupt the business of a lot of small businesses.
Right.
And you just, it might be worthwhile for...
Right, I'm
Yeah,
not disagreeing with that. I'm just curious because I suspect that lots of other utilities do lots of other big projects. It just is, I'm just curious as to why we would be the first ones to do something.
We're becoming very innovative.
That's your story. All right.
And he's sticking to it.
And is it fair to say we kind of got the idea from Metro? I mean,
Yeah, actually you can.
yeah. So even though
Metro's
other
doing
utilities
something,
aren't doing it, Metro is. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt. But
No, that's fine.
But I just want,
was thinking you missed that graphic description.
I wanted just to add to Commissioner Fleming's remarks, even though there's not another utility that we can refer to, I think this is the right thing to do. Because I've seen where I live and do business that there is severe impact on small business. And Keisha and I have talked about this, and I just think this is the right thing to do. And I'm really hoping that this is going to work out, and I'm feeling confident about it. And because we really should make every effort to retain small business, and that's what this is.
I want to second Commissioner Barad's comments, both with regard to the wisdom of the idea and with regards to her strong support for the notion that it became a pilot program so we can come back and take a look at it. I'm very skeptical that $18,000 is sufficient. And one of the things that I'll be interested in hearing is what the requests are and how the response is. And so there is a great value in doing this as a pilot program. But I just want to second Commissioner Barad's remarks on this throughout the hearing and the prior hearing. Ratepayer advocate, do you want to chime in on this one?
You know, it's disconcerting to be leading as a utility. It's always opportunity for unreasonable costs because we do usually look to other utilities. But, you know, in the extreme, that would mean that we wouldn't have done anything new in the last 100 years. So somebody's got to go first, right? And so the way utilities do that is they try and shrink it down to something that's very small, gain some experience, and then try and, you know, learn from the experience and come back before they scale it up big, because it really could add double the cost to our infrastructure replacement problem if we started really accounting for every social cost, including traffic 5 blocks away. Exactly. So this is the way the utility industry changes very slowly, and somebody does go first.
Is there a motion?
Commissioner, can you make a motion first to amend the resolution to reflect the reporting requirements?
Yes. I would move that we amend the resolution by requiring a report on the progress of this project first in 90 days and then monthly thereafter for a year. Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
The amendment is now a part.
And that's 3-1, and no.
No, okay.
Oh,
Is it only the amendment?
Yeah.
Yes,
fine.
okay. So the amendment passed unanimously. And then is there a motion on the amended resolution?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye or no.
So it passes 3-1 with Commissioner Fleming voting no.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, filed items. We welcome our general manager. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I thought I'd drop in, sir. Thank you.
The acting general manager has done a fine job in your absence.
Great.
Presented an eloquent report also.
I'll have to give him more opportunity.
Water system, November of 2015.
Good morning, good afternoon, President Levine. I would like to point out a celebration that's coming up in a few weeks. The first week of May is National Drinking Water Week. Oh. American Water Works Association has been sponsoring that for years and years and years. Yet Los Angeles has never taken light of that or taken advantage of that. Now with our infrastructure improvements of late and most notably wanting to celebrate the quality and the safety of our water, we're about to have our second annual Tap Water Day, LA, and that'll be on May 5th. Last year was the inaugural. We had it at the Balboa Sports Complex, where Rec and Parks unveiled one of their new bottle filling stations and drinking water fountains that they're trying to get right now retrofit their existing, first of all, non-ADA compliant type fountains into these type of fountains that also have the bottle filling stations so that we can have refillable bottles. Water and Power is doing their part by having these bottle filling stations and drinking water fountains at its public facilities. You might know in front of the JFB we have 2 sleek-looking filling stations that are there. Some of our reservoirs have that, the public reservoirs that have it. The Mulholland Park, Memorial Park has one also. What we're doing for the May 5th presentation will be a press conference by Mayor's Office of Sustainability with participation from ourselves. We will be inviting some of the commissioners also, and representatives from EPA, Division of Drinking Water as well. And what we're doing is we're going to install a like drinking water fountain over at City Hall East, replacing one of the older non-functioning drinking water fountains that they have in that area there, and with the goal to install a few more in the area there so that the public can see the fountains and have access to that, and bottle filling stations as well.
They'll add to the Cinco de Mayo celebrations in Los Angeles.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I didn't, since my arrival was late, I was not aware if you'd been introduced to Mr. Albert Gastelum. Marty wanted to send his apologies. He is currently at council with a number of his executive staff on the water ordinance issue.
Mr. Albert Gastelum has done a very fine job in Marty's absence.
Thank you, sir.
29A2, Financial Services, February 2016.
So be happy to answer any questions. We're also going to give a brief presentation on the results of our recent water bond sale, which were very favorable. I'm going to have Peter Wynn. Mario Ignacio had a family emergency, so Peter is here to go over that. So again, they were great results that we had. If you look at the second page, just a little bit of history. When we went through this on February 16th, this was approved. The actual bond went on April 6th and 7th, and that was $628 million. But the key part on this is where you see March 31st, 2016. Standard & Poor's raised our rating from AA to AA+ on the water system, which was something, again, as a result of the rate action that we had on March 15th. President Levine, you talked about in a number of areas that you all have a tough thing to do. You have to vote yes on a rate increase. What we're going to show here is how that actually had some very positive financial impact for our customers because of that. The financial community sees that and they respond accordingly. Go ahead.
I trust that good news has already been communicated to members of the City Council who did have to cast that tough vote. It's good to be able to, obviously, to show the linkage between that vote
and we are writing we are written a letter, part of that will come from this presentation as well to those members. On the next page, and this gets a little bit on the technical side, but in the upper left-hand side, you see in the red, it says over $5 billion of total orders. So we had enough orders to fill bonds of $5 billion at the time this was done, which is just tremendous. That could have actually funded the entire 5-year capital program. So it's really showing that the financial community wants to buy water system bonds. And on the right-hand side, where you see in the blue, let's see if I can get the pointer to work here. There we go. So you see all those numbers right there, and down the bottom you see this 7, which is 0.07%. This is a comparison to MMD, which is municipal market data, essentially what AAA bonds are trading for that day. And so we were only 0.07 or 7 basis points above AAA bonds when we did this deal 2 weeks ago. And if you look over here, 2014, we were 26 basis points above. We were 28 in 2013, and 2012 we were 44. So what that shows is market conditions lower down, but also our bonds are trading far more favorable than they have in the past. And again, that's part of the rate action being approved. People see the financial stability that both from the structure and from the increases that we had as part of the rate action. If we go to the next slide, and this is just a simple graph showing the true interest costs. So you can see how the true interest costs have really come down. 2004, we were about 4.9%, and then 4.7, 5.1. And this bond issue that we just did was 3.19%. I always say 3.2, and Mario always corrects me, it's 3.19. But and you got to remember that's for $627 million. So that's a big change.
Is that the lowest you think we've ever had?
We believe that's the lowest. We went back 15 years and looked, it was the lowest. We know that the interest rates, before that were much higher. Peter did not want to go back to the original bond issues for the aqueduct, so it's hard for us to, but we think it is the lowest. And again, it's just a result of, I think, the financial markets responding very well to our rate action. If you look in the bottom left, we did a refunding of $184 million. And when we did this, on a net present value, we saved $74 million. So that's $74 million. We saved 40% of the refinance principal. Again, just tremendous savings.
How does it work? Do we establish a target, or is it all based upon the supply and demand, and it fluctuates with regard to how much interest there is?
I'll let Peter.
Generally speaking, we go out there is already a curve for that day. And then it depends on the supply and demand. And that's where the underwriting team, their value added comes in. And in this particular case, I think the underwriting team did a tremendous job. They work with 93 potential investors. This includes the fund managers, asset managers, bond funds, and so forth. And that's why we get that overwhelming, it's greater than 7.5 times subscription. Because we price the bonds all together, and then we break it out, the pieces that for the refunding, that's when we compare to the coupon cash flows to the new cash flows that's designated for the refunding piece. And that yielded about $98 million gross savings, and the net would be about 74, is that right? 74 million, right. Yes. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, that's fine. It's very impressive.
There's a lot of varying market aspects that are moving around. As an example, we have to size our bonds because if we borrowed more, we can move the market around just by ourselves.
Right.
So that's a consideration. I've actually gone out in a different utility, and the market turned on us, and we decided we weren't going that day. So it's a lot of real-time movement.
And also, this is where the benefit of having Peter's boss, Mr. Ignacio, back there in New York to make these decisions. He made some very specific decisions that really caused us to get this great interest rate, which, again, I think it shows the benefit, especially when you get that much money out.
And I would echo that Mario is one of the unsung heroes of being very savvy about what market conditions were that morning and how to position the department in a way that was better than the other public entities out there because of the upgrade in the rating and the decoupling that restructured the revenue security. So I think that sending people back to be there and work with the underwriters is so important, and to train each generation of DW people for that is important.
So that's Peter's future. On the summary of the key takeaways, so you look at this, again, the financial structure and the stability from the recent rate action. S&P upgrading us, again, really helped us out. Did a lot of pre-marketing of the bonds, investor reach out, including the LA Investor Conference that the Chief Administrative Officer put on. We went out and gave presentations there. We had very strong investor demand in the cash flows. Now, the last water bond offering was 17 months ago, but again, to Mario and Peter and their entire team, it was a well-thought-out strategy working with the underwriters that gave us these great results. The upcoming bond transactions, so as we talked about last meeting, we've got May 5th to 6th, we're going to be doing 275 of the power system. Then we're going to come back at the end of May for another water system, estimated $308 million. And then in June, we're going to be back for the power, 228. Again, that's what Marcy was talking about. We have to break it up into digestible pieces because we don't normally get $5 billion of orders, which actually was a fairly good thing. So we are in the process now that May 5th and 6th. We're meeting with the rating agencies. We're going through, again, we have a great story to tell on the power side as well. It's a very similar rate structure. So we're hopeful we can get similar type results.
Congratulations. It's very, very impressive. Comments, questions?
I think it's tremendous, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
It's actually, these guys do it all.
Okay, well, we want to hear the same report on each of the next three offerings. Item 29B1, 2015 report on the LADWP customer care and billing system and related issues.
That item 30?
We're not at item 30 yet.
I think 29B is the
Reports on payments and
2015
fines.
report on
Oh,
payment
I'm
of
sorry,
fines.
I apologize. Well, right. There's the report, well, let's see. Both of these have the same headline, the same subheadline. 29B, what's the difference between 29B and 30?
29B is just one of the filed items, and 30 is a management report.
Okay. Oh, actually, that's not the way it's printed here. Mine is wrong. Okay, 29B now says, report of payment of fines and penalties for
Yeah,
environmental
right.
violations.
So that's not it.
Okay, good. It doesn't say what 30 is.
So this is the wrong section.
Just if there are any questions, it's just a regular reporting on our penalties.
Okay, having now properly identified what 29B is, are there any questions?
The detailed report is in your package.
Very good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what I have listed under both 29B and 30, report on the customer care and billing system and related issues, and we now have one speaker card on item 30 before we ask for the report.
Okay, the speaker for item 30 is Linda Romney.
Good afternoon.
This is 30.
Specifically, as you know, the ratepayers were hit with a huge increase in the water, and previously we were hit with another increase for the electric. The fact of the matter is that you have 51% of the population of your ratepayers for the Department of Water and Power that make less than $31,000 a year. Nevertheless, these indigent individuals have been subjected to a $10 per month credit for water. That $10 credit is the same as it has been for the last 60 years. I wonder if anybody here could live on the amount of money from 60 years ago, from the salary. Could you do that? No. The same thing, unfortunately, with the electric. And then you have another class of individuals that are indigent. These poor souls are being targeted, of course, by the Department of Water and Power. And what is their classification? They have a physician certification, meaning they need specific items or they cannot live, life-sustaining items. The electric and the water necessary for those items have not increased either. Nevertheless, your counterpart, Edison, they have increased, but we have not. You talk about customer care as one of the reasons for the rate increase. We're going to give you better customer care. I've already presented to you 42 letters for a period of time of 5 months directed to the general manager, still unanswered. The fact of the matter is you have a new individual, a Mr. Mosier. Mr. Mosier is new. He laughs at his constituents, laughs at them on the phone, does absolutely nothing to assist. This needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is presenting this report?
I am. So it's been several months since you've had a report on the customer service and billing system, and I'd like to provide that report today. So we'll start with a customer service update. If you look on the screen, you can see we had a peak of around, and can you see, because I can easily move over there, because you've got a big bald head in the way. All right.
If you just sit on Bryovich's lap.
I'd suggested they could just project it on my head, but it just wasn't quite big enough.
Try my head.
So anyway, we used 2 years ago as the peak, even though the peak on some of those items was about a quarter before or after, gives a good 2 years going back. So if you look at delayed bill revenue, it's gone down to about a third of what it was. Those are bills that we haven't yet billed. We know we need to produce the bills, but we haven't yet sent them out. Estimated bills have gone down significantly. Call wait time is at phenomenal levels. Abandoned calls, that's where a customer calls or hangs up before we can pick up the phone. So those are very low now, and meter reads are significantly high. Here's an indicator of call wait time, a bar graph. You can see our goal. You could see that we're meeting that and have met that substantially for about the last 9 months, but you can see how high it was a few years ago and how we've really worked to get that down. And one of the ways we've worked is in the customer service division staffing area. If you look, we've literally hired about 365 additional individuals, but over that time, we've actually hired about 1,000 people into new positions. The customer service representative is the candidate pool for the commercial service supervisor, and that's where we pull the billers from. The meter readers are where we pull the commercial field service, commercial field representatives, etc. And what you could see is we've significantly increased customer service reps and supervisors and the individuals working towards that. We've hired a number of meter readers. They're in the process of final training, and we had to overhire so we'd have enough people to read the meters as we then promoted some of those individuals up through a competitive process into commercial field rep and senior field rep. And those are the individuals that go handle visits in the field when a customer calls and says, I think my meter's not working, or I think my meter reading is wrong. And so we're really working on that right now, and we're just in the process of finalizing that hiring.
Why are we down on commercial?
I'm sorry?
Why is commercial field representative, why are we down?
Because we've waited for the meter readers to be trained, and now we're hiring meter readers into that commercial field representative
Sequential.
position.
You can't hire them from the outside. You train them down below.
Okay.
Information technology staff, we've also hired about 20 in those various positions. We are looking at some additional restructuring and some increased hiring in that area. It's a little more challenging in the IT area. I'll get into that in a few minutes. We do a lot of customer satisfaction surveys. You can see that for the third quarter in a row, we're above 80%, where we're at 83% of overall experience is excellent. About 90% of the customers at the contact center, which is the phones, rank our reps as courteous and knowledgeable. In an in-person visit at the service center, obviously usually in person, you get higher rankings, and as you can see, they are higher, almost 90% for all the experience, the courtesy, and resolving the issue on the first contact. And then field investigations, as you saw before, we're hiring those individuals from the meter reading pool, and we're just in the process of finalizing that. And that's why this is at about 61%. As we have more staff, they can go out and handle high bill complaints or any other complaints that require a field visit, if you will, and those should be going up as well. Accounts receivable, here's a graph showing it's going down. There is some seasonality to accounts receivable, but again, the trend is it's moving down. Those are active accounts. If you remember from previous presentations, inactive accounts are accounts that have closed. We've made an attempt to collect the outstanding balance, and the customer either moves to a location without providing a forwarding address or we can't find them. We'd usually turn those over to collection agencies. The new billing system is not able yet to do that, and that has been given a lower priority on the scale of things that need to be corrected through the settlement processes that we're looking at. And so we will be getting that finished. In the meantime, we're trying to figure ways to do what we call kind of a data dump into a spreadsheet, and we can just send the spreadsheet to the collection agencies. So we're in the process of kind of determining a workaround. This shows our accounts receivable has significantly decreased over the last couple years. Since January 2015, it's down by $141 million, and the older accounts over 90 days is down from $300 million about 15 months ago to $169 million right now. So it's moving in the right direction. But you know, with those customers that owe money on the accounts receivable, many of those need to pay through a payment plan. So we've got about 70,000 of our customers on payment plans, totaling $76 million. If they have challenges with a payment plan, we will work with them to make sure that we have terms they can comply with. Those are the pay plans. Again, look at the trend. We're moving up on customers in pay plans, meaning we're attempting to collect those outstanding balances. And you can see both the established plans, the active plans, which are in purple, which are, they only last 4 months, so they've gone. If you go past 4 or 5 months, they've disappeared because those plans have been finalized. You know, a few people break them, and then we will work with them to reset a plan so that they can continue to pay off their outstanding debt. Defective meters is, again, an issue, a difficult thing. So we had about 16,000 defective meters, and unfortunately some of those were 1 and 2 years old, which means they're just creating estimated bills. So we had to hire and train meter setters. We've now changed in the last several months about 15% of those, and we're on a track to do more than 1,000 a month. So we will literally finish before a year. And those show all the different categories and what has to happen, but it shows you we have replaced a number of defective meters. Some of the upcoming challenges in customer service. The increases in the new tiers will be something that customers will have questions on. We expect them to generate some additional calls. Just so you know, we made a very intense effort on the programming and testing of the new rates, and it required about 25 people over 3 months to put in all those new rates, test the rates, make sure they are completely tested so that they're billing accurately. And we also improved the entire documentation and testing process to make sure that it is even more robust than it's been in the past. We'll continue to increase collection activities, continue with the efforts leading up to the settlement implementation. And we do think there'll be additional offerings by water conservation programs, energy efficiency programs, and other things as well. This is the reason you've seen this in the rate presentation, and it just kind of shows why there might be some more phone calls. We've added tiers. If you fall into those additional tier 3 or tier 4, you will see a higher bill, and it'll probably result in some additional calls. So we are gearing up, trained all our customer service reps. Almost 900 reps attended 3-hour training in how to answer questions on the new rates so that we can respond to those customers when they call. The billing system, we have obtained the services of a contract project manager doing a great job, has helped create a remediation team with the skills necessary, about 25 to 30 staff from both IT and customer service department, and that we have vested authority with that group to make the changes that need to be made to ensure everybody's billed accurately. We're stabilizing and remediating the system right away. First trying to stabilize things. We've identified the issues. We're implementing those. We're adhering that to a schedule by an independently appointed monitor by the court who's looking at what we're doing, and he's helping us create that schedule and making sure we stick to it. And then we've got the plans to remediate the system by identifying the items, prioritizing them, and he's looking over our shoulder the whole time at that as well. Again, a good thing. Some of the challenges to the plan, and this is, I alluded to a little earlier with the IT, there is a real challenge getting talented programmers that are skilled with the CC&B system. And when we find them, it's still difficult to hire them. It's even difficult to contract for those individuals because usually they have to travel a lot. Once we even train our own to become programmers in CC&B, they're a hot commodity. They are being searched out. So it's really a tough thing whether you grow your own or you contract out. They are very difficult to find qualified programmers. And then finally, one of the challenges is there's been an upgrade to basically another version released for our CC&B plan, and we are not going to implement that until we're done with most of the remediation efforts. But as soon as that's done, there's going to be a whole upgrade that we're going to have to do to the latest version, which is probably a year-long process. How do we measure success? So that team literally meets at the beginning and end of every day sometimes for just 5 minutes, but they go over what's happened, what are the challenges, look at their performance against the work plan, report that to myself and others in senior management every week. There's going to be quarterly reviews by that court-appointed monitor. Once the effective date of the settlement occurs, there's also going to be an external audit at 18 and 36 months, and those settlement efforts are ongoing. And be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great report. Really very good. I wanted to know about the customer service representative positions. How are they? Is that coming from a civil service list, or do you advertise? How do you get these people?
They come from a civil service list, and they test thousands of individuals, and then we are literally hiring about 75 to 100 every several months. We conduct interviews. There's kind of a mock phone call, a number of mock kind of discussions with the potential candidates, with the candidates, some review of their writing skills, math skills, and then they're brought on if they're successful, and they go through a 3-month training period before we put them on the phones.
What's the retention after you've trained them for 3 months? Do they stick with it?
Sharon, it's a really high retention, like 95%. Most of them go through. It's because we give them that adequate training, and then after about 6 weeks on Mondays, we put them on the phone, so there's just enough for them to get scared, and then they go spend 4 days learning how to handle those phone calls, and then it kind of goes through that cyclical process for the balance of the 6 weeks, and then they're ready to go when they come out of
David,
that
haven't you experienced a significant turnover since the start of all this with respect to CSRs? I had heard numbers of like 60-65% now are new.
Oh, yeah, we have a significant number of new employees because those employees, as they get trained and really good at what they do, then we're opening up those positions for billers, for supervisors, for moving out to the contact centers. So there's a huge turnover as people are moving up through the system and being able to handle those phone calls, handle those site visits, correct those bills that then leave a big, a big void at the entry level, and so we're continuing to hire all those individuals. So yes.
I can't help but notice on your graph on call wait times, the green bars, the vertical bars that go back to July of 2014, the difference between that and now. And I have to compliment our commission because we have really been stressing customer service over 2 years. And now look at this. This is really remarkable. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Yeah, I think it's just phenomenal progress. Everything's going all in the right direction. I want to just want to ask about the effort that we're doing to outreach to communities that I've talked about in the past that are less resourced to get information out about the rate increase, because people that I'm talking to don't necessarily understand that water bump, and I just want to get an update on that. I don't know if Joe can give it or if it's something that you know, Dave, or Marcy.
I would need to ask Joe
Okay.
just about that.
Thank you, Commissioner. As you know, we've heard your request and have a plan to get that information out. We have materials that have been developed. A great deal of effort's gone into adapting what was the rates proposal into useful information to get out to our customers. We've begun with some email campaigns already and some messages that have gone out, as well as actually producing the materials. We do expect to have all of those materials in the various outlet and places that we've discussed by May 1st.
Great. So there are a couple of people who came to me who were very vocal at the governance meeting, but they have pledged to try to work with us as long as we work with them to get the word out. Mr. Big Mike and Mr. Shorty are the people who are here, and I've introduced you to them, and I just want to recognize them, thank them for coming down to the department and recognize that this board will continue to work with you to make sure that we can get the word out about these things.
Joe, while we appreciate Mr. Funderburg's specific interests, I think we need to assemble something that more clearly defines the various avenues of outreach that we're going to take in this instance in such a way that we can make sure we share it with the entire board.
Okay. We can send
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Dr. Pickle.
Yes. We just wanted to talk a few seconds about collection and kind of foreshadow again additional actions that will be coming before you. You may recall that a year ago when the state audit was brought forward that one of their 3 main grievances was the collection activity. Our office took a look at that in greater depth and put out a report in July 1 about the reasonableness of the decisions made to defer collection activity. And so today you're hearing about this great progress that's been made, and it is being noted that collections is still held up by IT, but collections is about IT and work duties and business practices and how they integrate. And so it's not just IT that's the hang-up in our view. We work with some pretty complicated complaints that come to our office, and without the support of the CRO and Sharon Grove and George Raphael that are here, we would be completely ineffective. We get great support. But one of the things we see happening with collections can be understood through a recent complaint that occurs with every utility. There's nothing wrong with the fact that once in 10 million bills, people fall in a crack, and the crack is maybe 6 years deep. But this was a bill with someone who had a father who died in '88 and a mother who never changed the name on the bill who died in '09. And in our efforts to get a clear letter that said the department wasn't pursuing collection, we run into those business practices where even though the statute of limitations is long past, the accounts receivable is still part of the system and the transfer of the old to the new system and then the accounting practices and the reserves. So it's a lot of interconnected pieces. And we would just encourage you to realize that at some point business practices need to reflect the cost of chasing things that are 6, 7, 8 years stale. Otherwise, we think they're making great progress.
Thank you. I also want to compliment the entire team who's been working on this. The results are extremely impressive. And Dave, did you bargain for this when Marcy talked you into coming over? You don't have to answer. I do have one question, which is how much is there any way of estimating how much longer the remediation process is likely to be continuing?
There's essentially a couple priority levels. The first term it's literally done in a year. There's some smaller items that are going to take a little longer. I mean, unfortunately, the entire process to perfection, and nothing is perfect, but as close as we can get, is about 24 months. But the big things are happening right away.
And do these items that are being held up due to the ongoing remediation process need to be held up all 24 months?
No, we're actually working with our staff and the monitor to try and figure out if there's a couple things we can move in there. But he does report to the court, and I will tell you he's saying you first do the court stuff, then you can do what you want to do. So it's definitely a negotiation process that we have.
I think we all understand.
Yeah, we don't have the best hand.
Yeah. No, we understand, and we really appreciate all that you all are doing. Thank you. Council?
At this point, we will recess in a closed session, and if there are any reportable items, we will report them in accordance with the California Government Code section.
Thank you. We'll recess into